because Casio builds a watch like this, they are probably my overall favorite brand. Now, some of you watching the Subset Watch Show in the Nutnfancy project may not be surprised. I say that about this watch, the Casio Gulfmaster. It is in their Master of G series. They don't hold back. It is completely full featured. It's worth every penny you pay for it. Model number GWN1000 series. It will come in multiple colors. I will show you 2 in person, some more in screenshots. It is module number 5371. Last week I was scuba diving with this watch, and as I looked at my Gulfmaster underwater, it made me smile. It's just that type of watch. It looks at home in that environment. It looks at home in the Zodiac on the Pacific Ocean. It looks at home doing a tactical shoot. Don't be thrown off by the name Gulfmaster and perhaps some nautical features that you would think, well, I don't need those. You can ignore them. This is a cool watch, perhaps my overall favorite watch in their Master of G lineup as of yet. Now, I recorded this video, I don't know, about 6 months ago, and the video just went too long. So this is a redo. It won't be just 10 minutes because there's so much cool stuff to talk about this full-featured Gulfmaster. It's going to take a little bit of time. Most of the videos on this watch online, especially here on YouTube, are either unboxing videos, boring. They are perhaps dealers just doing a features review, which is okay. I mean, that's something. What you're getting with a TMP watch review, in most cases, not all cases, is the summation of testing. The summation of our adventures with this watch, and the Gulfmaster especially, 1 year of hard testing. I bought this watch in Amazon, just like I recommend you do. Links below. The more you use my links, the more watches I can review, by the way. And ever since 2016, it has been in hard use, and the watch will show it. It's not new out of box. I just didn't crack the case open, no. In all our testing, submerged, top water, desert, wilderness, urban environments, of course, it passed with flying colors. The Master of G Casio Gulfmaster GWN1000. Now, you guys may be thinking, since I have rolled this watch in several other WRVs here, that I've reviewed it already. That is incorrect. I have not. What I reviewed is the Gulfmaster GN1000C-8 Alpha. Also comes in other colors. Black and white are my favorite. As they sometimes do, Casio will have a full-featured Master of G watch like this one, and then they have a less featured, similar-looking watch for much less money. That's the one I reviewed. And I said at a later date I'd hit this, and here we are. I'm doing it. I love both the watches. I said at the time this has the core functions I love most of them. The one thing that this does not have, actually 2 things, depending on your point of view, it may be more, that this does, the Master of G series, it is full ABC, it is solar and atomic. Huge, huge. Still love the GN1000 Gulfmaster, highly recommended. To most people, unless they are Casio enthusiasts, they will not know the difference if you wear these 2 watches. They won't. It is module number, I think I said 5371 already, and I will reference that with some page numbers when we get to some features that I just don't want to spend video time on. I don't. So 1 year of testing complete. Here we go. POU, cool factor, gear transparency. I would say gear transparency is minimal. This watch takes a little bit of getting used to. It's a large watch. It is 15 millimeters thick. It's 55 millimeters, give or take just a little bit across this portion right here. It is relatively lightweight at just 3.6 ounces though. That's pretty good, considering that a lot of traditional dive watches will weigh around 5 ounces, maybe even more. So it's a big watch. Gear transparency, not really there. Cool factor is totally there. It is a great looking watch. It does command attention, so if you don't like attention, maybe you want to do something less flashy, less technical, because I think it's a very beautiful watch. It's also very technical. So a lot of people notice it, and sometimes it's a good conversation piece. It just depends. I think, by the way, it represents outstanding value for its around $300 price tag, depending on which model you get. It depends. And here come, you see the white one here. I said I was going to show you in person 2 colors. We actually do have 2. Here's the other one. A gorgeous blue Gulfmaster. Notice the stainless steel bezels. I believe they are stainless steel. This one's anodized in sea blue. Very cool. Reference numbers around the periphery. And this one is left in just plain stainless, which I think, against the blue band, the blue case, silver button highlights, it just looks great. It's a great looking, again, technical, and perhaps, depending on your point of view, again, a nautical watch. Nautical as in water. So I will put the links below to some other variations if I find them. Casio just comes and goes with these. You know this, that sometimes they'll have this color out, that color out. So just look around. You may see some other additions coming out as the years go on. Size, lug width, weight, comfort, sweat factor, and strap retention is what we'll talk about now. The comfort is high. Again, this is due to the relatively lightweight at 3.6 ounces. Sweat factor is not so great. It's a big watch. It's covering a large portion of your wrist, and I find that with this Gulfmaster, and for that matter, for any of the large Master of G series, whether it's a Mudmaster, a GN1000, at least when it's warm, I'm taking it off frequently and letting my wrist dry out. It's just the nature of the beast. I just deal with it. Comfort, though, is more than you would think. Yes, it does stick out from your wrist a little bit, and at this time, I guess I will put it on my ugly wrist. Guys have said, dude, you totally got to put it on so we can see what it looks like. Well, I think I'm a poor wrist model. I've said that. I will continue to say that. But what the heck? Let's go. I'll show you. So here you go. I'm putting on the blue one. This is what it looks like on the wrist. Oh, that's manly. Not the wrist. The watches. I love this blue one. Look at that. Now you can see it does stick up from the wrist, right? Like I said, it's up there. You get used to it. You know, I saw a dude the other day wearing a freaking Invicta that stuck out like an inch from his wrist. I thought it was funny. I mean, it was a flashy watch, kind of a bling watch. And I just kind of, now that I'm doing watch reviews, I take note what guys are wearing. But there you go. I have found, by the way, in wearing this white band, it is a matte polyurethane white band. It will dull. Some guys will call it a light starship gray. That's probably an adequate description of it. It's kind of a little bit dingy right now, but you take a hot soapy toothbrush and you just clean it off, and it cleans off really nicely. You don't even have to bleach it. The band is actually, of course, proprietary. It's excellent. It's part of the whole Master of G package. When you go to a Casio, you sign on to the Master of G, which is basically their G-Shock top of the line. That's the way I think about it. You're signing on to an entire look. You're looking at ruggedness, presentation, and part of that is band. So I would never consider of getting a Master of G watch and then say, well, I need to replace the band. That's just dumb. Go get something else. You know, just roll with it. And I find the band so far in a year of hard use to be durable. It hasn't cracked, albeit I'm not wearing it continuously. I'm not. Has a double stainless steel clasp, and it has one very loose keeper, which I find inadequate. This is a criticism across many of the Casio watches. So I actually had to put layers of helicopter tape in here to grasp it better. And then I had to put, this is like an aftermarket silicone keeper, and with those two in it, so I just slipped this over here. Now my strap retention is phenomenal. Really great. You can see the screws attaching the band right here. I did not take the band off to check it out. Let's look on the case back, and I do have this blue one labeled, but you'll get the gist of what it looks like in the back. It is not a stamp case, but I'm sorry, a case back, but machined from the looks of it to me. Good looking case back, 4 screw. I would never crack this open to replace a battery, which, by the way, you don't have to worry about because, again, it's solar. At least not for a long time. And if and when that comes, I'll just have a dealer do it. That's the looks. So lug width is pretty much NA because you're not going to replace the band. And like I said, 55 millimeters across. Let's get into the features. I'm going to start off with legibility. Then we'll talk about feature set, illumination, and other cool things. One thing I really love about not just this one, but also the GN1000 is it's just so readable, right? This is a dually watch. That's my terminology for it. So I have an analog presentation and I have, in this case, a positive display, easily read LCD presentation on the bottom. This is a huge selling point, a huge advantage for the Master of G series and several of their models. And this one, the Gulfmaster, is a great example of that. For instance, at a distance, I can repeat my time if I want. Just super legible. How about the looks? What do you think? Now, of course, watches are purely subjective of what guys like and what they dislike. I usually avoid super busy presentations, but I don't think that's this. You have the tide and moon phase here, which I do use all the time when we're out West Coast. And then you have the inner dial with the cities. We'll talk about that. That is an important thing. I like the yellow highlighted second hand in this blue version. It's white here. Let's look at its tracking. Some guys are really particular about this. I find it pretty precise in the Master of G series. Excellent. It's very quiet. You can't hear it tick. I love the hour and the minute hands too. Also super legible. They're white. There's no design features on the hands that make it difficult to read. Non-numeric markings around the circumference. That's your solar cell in the center of it, where you see the markings. Says shock Casio. Water resistance there. Tide function, super cool. I just love the looks. Here's a look at the white version. And notice the second hand on this one is different. It's blue on the opposite end, as is the tide dial has a different design set to it. So each one has kind of a different color thematic thing going. Features. Of course, we're looking at time, okay? And I got to go kind of fast on this because already I'm at 12 minutes. We haven't really started talking about the features. But guys who like this watch will watch the video from start to finish. I would be one of those guys. I find it kind of hard to find videos in YouTube that do that. They usually skip around, or they do it in such a manner that, I don't know, I kind of lose interest personally. Hopefully that won't be me with you. Time. Next we'll push this, and I call these buttons upper left, upper right, lower right, and this is your crown, of course. Smart crown. I'm trying to attach this thing, so I don't like taking them off. Here we go. So time's here. We press once. Now we go to world time. Now, this is how you're going to set pretty much everything with your Gulfmaster. So you'll pull it out. Now watch your second hand. Remember I was talking about the city pointers here? It's going to point to what time zone you're in. You just rotate it to change. So now we're in Denver. And I think if I press this, it'll ask... yeah, there it is. Daylight savings time on and off. And so you'll turn that on manually there in world time. When you do your home time setting, it's actually an auto daylight savings time setting. Awesome. That's world time. And the way I set it is not normally Casio, you press upper left. It's actually you pulled out your crown and you're just changing your cities like this. And then you will see your hour hand alone move, which is super cool. Some other watches that Casio makes, they slew all the way around. They waste a lot of time and battery power doing it. Not the Master of G Gulfmaster. It doesn't work that way. So, and also we'll have a flow-through function to get back to our home time. And by the way, notice that it's repeating home time with analog showing world time that we've selected. Then if I press and hold lower left, it's going to show us our battery state, H for high. You just saw that momentarily. Now we're back to home time. Go back through world time. Here's our tide function. And I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because I don't think a lot of guys care. But it's going to show you tide for today's date. There's a way to progress through it if you want, I don't know, more information. And by the way, like I said, in the PDF manual, it's on page E85. But it starts out at 6 a.m. You can go all the way through the day, and you'll see your little tide symbol rise and fall. And the way you're going to set that, I'll just talk through it, not show you, is you'll pull out your smart crown. You'll set your high tide with the time of day, and you sync this little dial up, the long and short. What we're using the tide function here is for planning. So if we're planning a water activity, we want to see what it's going to do throughout the day. Assuming we're not looking at our smartphone, which we always do with Tide apps, I think that's the best way. But let's say you don't have it, you're on the water, this is a way to do it. Now, if we shortcut and go back to home time, it will always show Tide function, but it's showing current time function. So that's a difference. So when we go to Tide here, it is a planning function. So it's showing the date, which I'm filming, and then, I don't know, let's see, which button do I push? Moon, there it is. There's your moon age too. And again, you can read a lot more about this in a manual. Stopwatch function. And I'm trying to remember exactly, there you go. So it's lower right, upper left to set it. You can read about that. I use it fairly frequently, depending on what I'm doing. Usually it's when I'm cooking something. Timer function. 59 minutes. I think it's limited to a 60-minute countdown on the Gulfmaster. I won't waste time showing you on that. There's your alarm. And I'm trying to remember how you sequence through these. So many watches. So there's your on and off alarm. Has a ton of alarms. Signal. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think it has a snooze as well. Signal's off, so that's just like pressing through it. And then for my alarm, lower right should sound it if you want to hear it. There it is for the Gulfmaster. Pretty simple, pretty standard Casio there. And here we come to the atomic timekeeping function. Man, I love watches that do this. I just love it. So it's showing that today at 12:06 a.m. it's synced up with a Fort Collins atomic clock. How awesome is that? Now the ProTrek series I reviewed from Casio also did this, of course. But gosh, it's just so nice. Now, it will not, however, change your hands if you go to a different time zone. So let's say I change 3 time zones, it syncs up and it goes, oh, I'm in a different time zone. It doesn't do that. It's just minute and seconds, and then it's up to you to set your home time, FYI. Now, there is a way to manually force the clock to, or the watch to receive. That's on page E25 in the manual. You'll basically just enter the mode. It's lower right for 2 seconds, and then it'll show an L1, L2, L3 for a signal strength. L3 is your best. Okay, and then we're back to time. Now, one thing I'm not going to show you, well, I'll kind of show you, that's a setting function. So again, to set, we don't press and hold this. We'll pull this out. It's asking what city is your home time, and then I'll just sequence through here. There's your auto daylight savings time. Again, this is for your home time only, not world time. I've got the buttons muted. I got auto light off. You can put that on if you so desire, of course. Have the light set to 3 seconds. You can set it to 1 second. 12-hour format. Power save is on. Most solar watches from Casio have that feature. Whew. And I'm skipping through some stuff just for time. I am. It's just the way it is. Then we'll go to this button right here. And this will go to altimeter. I have found that on these Casio, and I've said this in some other reviews before, that on these Casio watches that have ABC functions, if you go from a really high location, like I'm in Utah right now, and let's say I go, I don't know, sea level somewhere, Los Angeles, this can sometimes dash out. Either the altitude will be off or the barometer function will be off. And there is a procedure to set it. I looked it up and I've since forgot it. But it's there. I find the altitude function works pretty good. And it's pretty consistent. This one's set to my altitude and it's right there. The temperature function, as most reviewers will know, is a little bit off, especially if it's off your wrist. However, I have calibrated this one, and in my reviewing location, and this wasn't set up, it's actually balls on. So it's 83 degrees where I'm reviewing. Yeah, it's warm, but I'm not running the air because it's too freaking loud. So it's right on. If you leave it off your wrist, you have it calibrated, works great. Sometimes you could put it in a very stable, temperature stable bucket of water that you know exactly what the temperature is, pull it out quickly, calibrate it. That's how I do it, because it's quicker than air. There's your barometer function. And the way I set these barometers is I'll just call up a local airport, maybe they're AWOS or ATIS, and find out what their barometer setting is and set it that way. And this is very accurate. The Casio Master of G, and actually any of their functions, this little trend graph that you see is accurate. And this tells you when bad weather is coming. Sure enough, we got a rainstorm today, and it was right on. So we're showing altimeter of 2995, fluctuating up to 3000, 3000 at 0.05 increments. That's what it does. So it's kind of nice to have. If you're backpacking or out on the water, we have watched this, and if we see some see it falling, it usually will coincide with what we've already planned. We never go out on the water, we never go out in the outdoors without first checking the weather, not via a watch, but through an app or something like that. Okay, so that's ABC right there. Short and brief, actually. And now we get to illumination. And I'm going to kill this light and this light. I love the looks of the Master G series. This is again the full-featured Gulfmaster. So I didn't even pre-charge this really. It's just kind of rolling from just ambient light that it's been in today. And they haven't even been worn outside. You know, it'll last a good 4 hours. Legible at night after about 6 hours. But just like any lume, it's going to need a recharge sooner or later. It does have the upper right button giving you, again, either auto light or 3 seconds of light. Have it set to 3 seconds. I'm going to go back to home time. Press and hold. And it should be in home time. There we go. So here's a look at the blue one. The blue Gulfmaster. Good looking watches. That's your lume. Super, super fast. Compass. I forgot to mention that. And that will be... Yeah, I kind of shot right past compass, but there it is right there. And I do use that feature actually. The compass is handy. You can look on page E57 for compass calibration, and something I didn't mention on the altimeter. You can actually store readings, differential values, reference altitude records. That's on page E69 if you're interested. Just like most of the dually watches Casio makes, sooner or later that wonderfully legible LCD screen will be blocked by your minute and hour hands. It always happens to me. Now fortunately, like some other models we've discussed, you can stow the hands with a lower left and an upper right press just like this. Get them out of the way. I do that once in a while, and then after a period of time they will stow. Kind of cool. Another thing I forgot to show you in world time is that you can actually swap your home time with your world time with a long press of upper left. So now we are in, it's showing 2 times. You can kind of see the analog is our world time, home time shown in the LCD presentation. If we want to swap them in the world time mode, press and hold. You can see the swap over to city. You'll see the hands move. Usually it's just our hand. Cool. There you go. You swapped them. If you want to swap them back, you can. Excellent. There's also a GMT shortcut in world time mode, not home time, and that will be the lower right button for 3 seconds, and it will shortcut right to UTC. Kind of cool. So again, you see the hour hand moving, not the whole hand presentation. That's all I'm going to talk about on the feature set and the interface. The only real criticism I can say is that to adjust the Gulfmaster, I have to take it off the wrist. This is a double O-ring sealed crown. It locks in position. You can see the index right here, or the index where it locks. Double O-ring sealed buttons on the side, kind of like the Mudmaster series. All that's excellent, but it's shrouded, and because it is shrouded, it's not super accessible. I have to take off the wrist to do any time changing function on it. That's just me. Maybe other guys are able to do it. That's about it. And once I put those strap keepers on, my strap is not coming undone anymore. I wish, you know, Casio would put a double keeper system on this. I like those straps a lot, the double clasp, all that, the presentation. But without this and without my helicopter tape on the inside of the stainless steel keepers, dudes, it just comes undone all the time. I have so much footage of this watch in action. I don't know where I'm going to show it, because as we're talking about features, I don't know if it's distracting to you guys or what. Maybe at the end or something. But this watch has seen a lot of action. Surf, ocean, desert testing, non-decompression depth, scuba diving. It's awesome. Durability, therefore, is top notch. I think you won't have any problems with it at all. The accuracy is tight because it's atomically synced every night as long as you're in range of some atomic clock. Bang factor is relatively high, just like we talked about gear transparency. Thick watch, you do have these bezels, so it's not really a G-Shock presentation. You can bang up and mar these bezels, although in my wearing I haven't done it yet. These are mineral crystals. They're not sapphire at this price, and I actually have crystal protectors on there. I don't know if you can tell, because I try to do a very clean job when I put them on. Scuba diving is when I really wear a watch. It's really weird. I don't know what it is about scuba diving, but you bang watches up a lot. It's getting in and out. rocky entrances in California, Northern California, it's a lot of wear and tear. Expect again about 10 years out of the battery of this solar powered watch. Value is very high for what you're getting. You're getting a Master of G presentation. It's tough, durable, super cool. $300, totally worth it. Totally worth it. I still love this one, the GN1000, but you're not going to get ABC. You will get a tide function, which is super cool. Your tide graph is down here. You do get a legible LCD presentation, although it's not as big as this one. This is like on the PRW and PRG series, this same one, similar modules. Great value. I love this one. This is my own watch. All three of these are ours, and I'm not selling this one. I wear this one just as much as I do the other ones. But for the money, Hall of Fame all day long. It's really a upper end Casio product, and for $300, I'm just amazed they're able to put it together for that price, considering that a purely analog diver oftentimes are much more expensive. Sorry, had to cover a lot of things, went a little bit long. That's my review on the Gulfmaster. Enjoy.